Welcome to A Call to Healing. I'm your host, Melanie McDaniel. This podcast opens space for honest conversations that reveal the contours of our healing journeys, including those of challenge, of courage, and transformation. Today I'm joined by Chad McLean, founder of Mental Joe Apparel. His story moves through his military service, his injury, and the rediscovery of his purpose through psychedelic therapy. He created a mission-driven brand supporting mental health awareness in the veteran community and beyond. A Call to Healing is sponsored by Senavida, a platform helping practitioners spend more time in service and less time in the back office. Let's begin. Chad, welcome to the show.
Melanie, thanks for having me. We've been trying to do this for a while, so I appreciate you working with me and pivoting, and glad to be here.
I love that today, on the recording date, is Veterans Day, so happy Veterans Day to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I know that's a big part of your story, so if we can start there, can you share a bit about your healing journey? You can go back as far as your childhood if you want, or start with military, whatever feels most alive for you right now.
Yeah, I always try to tell people, I'll give them the 10,000 foot version of kind of where we started, where we're coming, and where we're at currently. With Mental Joe. For me, I guess you'd say ground zero essentially was 5 years ago. This past May was 5 years ago that I almost took my life. Literally standing out in this hallway, gun in the hand, tension on the trigger, staring at Carrie. And sadly, like a lot of other veteran stories, I was just wore out. I was drinking too much. I was on some kind of antidepressant, or I was on some kind of SSRI or mood stabilizing medication, and hiding pain pills for the most part from people. Kind of my downfall, I guess you'd say, in my military career was we did a night jump into Spokane Fairchild Air Force Base. It was a mass TAC jump, which is our whole battalion. So I don't know, you've got 300 to 500 guys in the air at one time in the middle of the night jumping into an airfield to try to seize this thing, right? It was something 2nd Ranger Battalion did really well. It was like taking over airfields was like our thing. And as we're jumping, I look down, I see a parachute below me. But at the same time, I look up and I see my chute starting to collapse, right? The air is getting stole from my parachute. And then next thing you know, I wake up on the ground. To this day, I don't know if I burnt in from 10 feet, 100 feet, 200 feet. I have no clue. But I know when I hit the tarmac, everything was black, and I don't know how long I laid there for. The reason I say this is the night for me where everything kind of changed, I guess that fork in the road, was during a ketamine session. I set the intention of essentially saying, like, where in the hell did my life go south? When I was on that road, like, what road did I pick to take me down this trajectory of where I'm at in life? And I relived that jump that night. And it took me a while to try to figure out and correlate what happened. But what I realized was when I hit the ground, I blew out my back completely. But because I'm 19 years old, you're in a unit that's full of a bunch of alpha males, part of special operations, and you shut your mouth. You don't go to sick call. You don't say I'm hurt, right? You go look for 800 milligrams of Motrin, which back in the day they called a Ranger candy, and you would just pop that stuff. And again, like most of that stuff, how it starts, right? 800 milligrams of Motrin turns into Oxy, turns into Tramadol, turns into, before you know it, now you're popping pain pills because you feel pretty good. And then my life would just start spiraling. I would start fighting the barracks. I was kind of being a little shithead. I just would disobey a lot. And what I didn't realize was most of the time I was hopped up on some kind of pain pill, or I was drinking way too much, and I was trying to operate just at a place that was not safe. So I ended up getting kicked out of Ranger Battalion, and that was kind of my goal. My goal was to get into Ranger Battalion. That's where you kind of cut your teeth with special operations, and then from there you go to essentially the Green Berets, Special Forces, and then Delta, and so on, right? So that was kind of my dream. I came from a broken home. My mom raised 3 kids on her own. My dad was an abusive alcoholic, and I really didn't have much to go home to, so this was kind of it. But when I failed there, like so many other different things in my life, I figured it was just part of my story. I'm a loser, I'm a failure, like this is just how my life's going to be. And so I hid from that from years and years and years, all the way up to, like I said, that suicide attempt that was almost 5 years ago. And from there, when I went into the cuckoo bin, I was there for a good week, and I told Carrie during the time, I was like, something's got to give. Like, I'm tired of popping pills. I'm tired of being fat. I'm tired of drinking too much. Like there has to be a different way to life. And she found ketamine. She found ketamine therapy, and roughly 30 to 45 days being out processed from the cuckoo bend, I was sitting for ketamine. And roughly that seventh or eighth ketamine session, it was somewhere in that wheelhouse. Everything finally slowed down for me. My brain started to slow. I could connect things differently. I could zoom out and really look at things from a different lens. And the same at that time, I was in corporate real estate at the time for Zillow. Um, Bigger and shit on a mushroom journey was go start an apparel company. And I was like, what the hell am I doing with apparel? I'm in real estate. Like, well, I don't understand how this even correlates. And so here we are 3.5 years later. We've been at this Mental Joe thing for roughly 3.5 years. And really, when we started it, we didn't start Mental Joe to get the likes on social media or the shares or anything like that. Wasn't the goal. The goal was, how do we create a brand that builds community but also raises awareness around psychedelic therapies? Like, two stigmas no one wants to talk about. First, no one wants to talk about mental health at all, right? It's such a stigmatized thing. And then you throw psychedelics on it. I mean, you couldn't ask for two more difficult things to support in this today's society, with people looking at you sideways. And we've lost family, we've lost friends because of this, but we believe in so much about what we're doing and what we're building. Like, this is where we're standing. Like, this is kind of our fork in the road to helping people find better ways of life, and Mental Joe's kind of the catalyst for that. So that's kind of my 10,000 foot version of how we got here and where we're at today.
So you were 19 when that accident happened, and you said you blew out your back, but you could still walk and move all your limbs and everything?
Yeah, I mean, my whole, again, I think it was a L1 through L5 is essentially just completely, there's nothing there. It's all on top of each other. And I've had ablations done, I've had back surgeries, the whole 9 yards. But the thing is I lived with that pain, right? Because again, you're in a community that it's just part of it. You're supposed to suck it up and drive on, right? Pull up your boots, go back to work, and be quiet. There'd be days that my back wouldn't bother me at all. But then there would be the days where it would go out, the sciatica would kick in, and before you know it, I'm popping some major pain pills just so I can go on a run, or just so I can go road march, or jump out of another plane, or what have you. And then again, that spiral would just, there's no reeling that thing in.
So I'm just trying to get the timeline. So you were 19, and then you stayed in the Army, but not as a
Hmm.
Ranger. In the Army, did
Yep.
you do a longer tour, or did you just finish your tour and get out?
Yeah, so I was in it for 4 years. So I did my 4 years, and just got out. So when I got kicked out of Ranger Battalion, I went down the road to the 124th Infantry Division. So just a good old leg unit for all my military guys out there. My leg, just grunt infantryman, right? Just real entry point, like we just down and dirty infantryman. And I was there for same thing about a year, and then got out. I thought about re-enlisting, but my back was so bad. There was times like I couldn't even tie my boots up. I'd have to have one of my buddies in the barracks tie my boots for me. So I knew I couldn't pass the physical, but I was so embarrassed about how it all went down and how I got kicked out of Ranger Battalion and all that stuff. Like, I didn't tell anybody. I just kind of, tucked tail, put my head between my legs, and said, "Okay, I'm out. I'm gonna go home," and just kind of melt away, and never look back, kind of a thing. When probably would have got the help, I probably would have stayed in. I just, at that young of an age, you just don't know how to operate, and I didn't have the emotional intelligence to ask for help either. So
Well, when did Carrie come into the picture? Carrie's your wife. You've mentioned her name, but let's confirm she's your wife. And
yes, Carrie is my
when
wife.
when was she? When did you meet?
Yeah, so Carrie and I met, I mean, it'll be 10 years next May that we've been married. So we've been married 10 years next May. But we've been together 13 and a half, almost 14 years. So same thing, a lot of this stuff for Carrie too. She really didn't understand any of this stuff because I hid it from her. So there was several different things. A good buddy of mine, Cal Callahan, who's right there in Austin, Texas. I went on his podcast 2.5, 3 years ago, and there was things I just felt safe with Cal, and I was able to kind of let go of some things. And for the very first time, Carrie heard some of this stuff. She's like, "What the shit? Like, you've been holding all this in all this time?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm embarrassed about it. I didn't want to talk about it. I felt ashamed." So at that point, that's where Carrie kind of could slowly start putting the picture together of, this poor little guy out of Montana that, was raised a certain way and wanted to go find, community and learn how to be a man in the military. And I screwed that up at a young age because I didn't have the emotional intelligence. And, then I go back to Billings, Montana, and you're in a cowboy community and, there's a lot of drinking and there's a lot of bar fighting. And sadly, I was really good at bar fighting. And I think that's where I was able to release a lot of my anger, to be honest with you, because of the embarrassment I had. And sadly, I kind of got, that's how people knew who I was. Oh, that's Chad. That's the bar fighting knucklehead, that drinks a lot. It pops pain pills, behind the scenes too. There was 20 plus years of just complete spiral from jobs to relationships to everything. There's a lot of bridges I built or burned. I didn't have the emotional intelligence to hold those steady.
So she came into like post Navy careers when she came into your life.
Yeah. Carrie, yeah. I've been out 20 years. I was out in 2000.
Army.
Navy, Army. It's all good. It's all.
You're Army. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fair. It's all good. It's all good. No, but yeah, she wasn't part of that, thankfully, at all, because I was not in the right headspace to even meet someone like her. And even then, when we met 13 and a half years ago, I wasn't even in the right headspace then to have someone, that could hold that space for me. But it's been cool. It's been a really rough journey, but I think Carrie would say it as well. Like these last 3 years, we've really come together as an extremely tight couple, and it's cool to see her grow as an individual to essentially draw boundaries and kind of get through some of the stuff that she's been holding on to as well. So we're both still growing, we're both still learning, but we're both very open and transparent about our plant medicine use and our molecule use and what we do for our marriage contracts and how we reconnect quarterly, So it's been a fun journey, but a tough journey.
Yeah, beautiful. So military, back to Montana, you weren't healing at all. You weren't using any sort of other healing modalities, just drinking and taking some sort of pain medicine. You get married, you get kind of a normal job, and then one day you have a breaking point. Is that kind of the timeline?
I would say that's pretty damn fair. Yeah, I mean, you want to get more granular with it. I got out of the military, went back to Billings, Montana, went to college. Right, used the GI Bill, was going to college. Where I was just trying to fit in. Like, I mean, you leave the military, you're kind of flailing. You're not quite sure what the next step. You're so used to 3 hots and a cot, right? And having your day planned from you to now you're out the gate and you got a duffel bag and you're like, I got to go home. I don't have a job and I don't have a place to live, but what's next? So I go to college, and during college I got recruited by Allstate Insurance to go own my own Allstate brokerage. So went and did really well as an Allstate insurance agent, and then came down to Arizona, and was like, oh crap, I need to move. Like Billings doesn't have what I need anymore, So eventually moved down to Arizona and lived here, and like I said, was still in the corporate real estate, but at the same time, still drinking a lot, still popping a lot of pain pills when the back would go out, and random relationships all through life. I would just self-sabotage them. And again, until I met Carrie, like I said, 13 and a half years ago.
So when you had your breaking point, you ended up in the, what do you call it, cuckoo bin?
I call it the cuckoo bin. Yeah, impatient sounds probably more politically correct, but if I say cuckoo bin, people can correlate that pretty quick.
Yeah. And then, like, you weren't seeking healing. You were just didn't know what next. You come out and Carrie's like, I found it. This is what you're doing. Is that kind of how that happened?
Yeah. No,
Or?
didn't know anything about ketamine, right? Like you said, I grew up in Montana. I was a dare kid, so I was the high school dare kid that went to the elementary school to say, say no to drugs, and this is your brain on drugs with the scrambled egg, skillet, did the whole thing. I did everything. I was on all sorts of SSRIs, from a Wellbutrin to a Paxil to an Effects. I was on all that crap for 20 plus years to try to find something to stabilize. I knew something wasn't right with my brain and my thought process, but I couldn't step outside the box. I wasn't quite sure what was next. And again, if I just say society-wise, like, alcohol is really easy to get. Pills are really easy to get. Like, that's the traditional stuff. I went to all the traditional, talk therapy, couples therapy, equine therapy, EMDR. I did it all. And I could, like, if a therapist was talking to me, I'm like, oh, yep, Roger, that makes sense. Okay, thanks. But because my brain was so scrambled, like I knew this tool would work, but I couldn't put it into play, right? So being at the Cuckoo Band and Carrie said ketamine, I was like, okay, like I don't know what it is, but if it works and you're telling me this thing works, like I'm jumping down the tube of this ketamine hole because I got to figure this out, And literally 3 days ago, it'll be 4 years for me that I've been completely off of all SSRIs, all, pharmaceutical meds. And I guess you'd say I've truly found kind of my foundation that I'm still working on. But now I don't have pills or alcohol or anything else that's interacting with me. So now I feel like I've got a true foundation thanks to ketamine and psychedelic therapies.
So the ketamine, can you tell me a little bit about, was it like IM? Was it IV? Was it one and done? Did you do a series? Like, what was the healing process like with the ketamine?
Yeah, so that was rocky too, Melanie. That was super rocky because same thing. Like we didn't know, right? Carrie found a clinic here in downtown Phoenix. It was IV, and we first went there, and again, we didn't know anything. We walk in for my first appointment. They're like, "Okay, here's your chair. Um, we're gonna get you connected, and we're gonna close the curtain. And you're gonna be in here for about an hour and 20 minutes. And if you haven't, find a cool playlist on your phone and lay back." And I'm like, okay, sounds easy enough. You're the doctors. I'll just do my thing. And I don't know. I probably listened to, I don't know, Morgan Wallen or Kenny Chesney or Garth, some, country album while I'm on freaking ketamine, for Christ's sakes. And then they open the door or the curtain and say, okay, now we're going to wheel you out to the car and good luck, right? There was no integration. There was no talk therapy. There was none of that. And so I literally, through the ketamine experience, I ran through 6 different ketamine clinics because as Carrie and I started learning more and more about this ecosystem, we were like, okay, they're not doing integration. They're not doing this right. They don't even have playlists. They don't have, so we really started making these checklists, right? And kind of halfway through it, I kind of realized, oh, maybe there's a reason I'm going through all of this. Maybe I'm a guinea pig. So down the road, when people reach out, I can kind of help guide them to, what's the right way ketamine clinics should be ran. And everyone's going to have their own opinion. But man, did I run through it. And when we did it, right, you were saying the boost and how all that works. When I was first doing it, we'd show up on Monday and we did that 6 series that they boost you with right up front, right? I went in on a Monday, got hammered, took Tuesday off, went in Wednesday, got nailed there, took Thursday off, and then Friday, and then had the weekend to, try to figure it out, and then Monday, and that same process. And then again, then you were done, and there was no integration. And so I literally became my own integration coach through journaling, through sitting in the backyard, through like just being aware of my body and like my triggers of like clenching the fist, tightening the jaw, sweating, like all these little things. I could finally take some of that therapeutic counseling work that I did for 20 years and I could finally start plugging those into the holes of like, oh, I remember when counselor therapist said this, now it fills in this hole for me. And so as I started going through this, then when I started it, I was doing ketamine probably every 45 days, right? Then from every 45 days, that booster came to, okay, now I'm doing it about every 60 to 70 days. And then same thing, I would just slowly journal. I'd slowly start watching that stuff. And then I got to a point where it's like, oh, I only do ketamine like twice a year, like, every 6 months. It's just kind of a booster, kind of a control alt delete, if you will. To where now, like, I don't feel I need ketamine anymore at all, and now when I do, plant medicine work or go to retreats, I do it with reverence. I do it with the purpose of, again, a control alt delete. Like I'll do really heavy medicine work maybe once or twice a year, right? Because I don't want to be chasing that. I want to still use it as a foundation to get me back and get more downloads of what I got to correct and what I got to clean up and things of that nature. But ketamine was a beautiful tool for me because it also helped me get off of a bunch of Effexor and a bunch of other medication that I was on. So I'm a big proponent of ketamine just for that reason, right? Because a lot of veterans, a lot of first responders, even our average Joes out there that are on a bunch of SSRIs or just medication in a whole, it's really hard to get off that stuff for 2 or 3 weeks, try to stay clean, and then go to a retreat, right? So I'm a big proponent of ketamine just for that reason.
Yeah, because you don't have to be off the SSRIs.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Looking back, the military didn't seem to help much. They gave you SSRIs and pain pills for the most part. Do you like looking back, did you miss anything? Were they like trying to give you something else and you didn't take, or was it literally that's like nothing?
It was
Like
nothing
what
because
you
yeah,
wanted away?
it was nothing. I mean, even then, I mean, I didn't go to sick call, right? Because the thing is you had access to the medics. The medics lived in the barracks. So it was really easy to go knock on a medic's door and say, hey, dude, my back is out. It's killing me. Like these 800 milligrams aren't working anymore. Okay, cool. Let me hand you this. And again, sadly, around every military base that's out there, you go off base by just a little bit, you've got access to all kinds of stuff. So there's all kinds of stuff that's being hidden. And I would spend my paycheck on pain pills just so I could go operate. So it wasn't like I was going to a doctor or a clinician to go get this stuff. I was getting it underground. Again, embarrassed, didn't want to go to sick call, didn't want to get called out, but I needed these things to, go on a run in the morning. I was a hurting machine at times.
Now you talk to a lot of veterans now, and we'll go into Mental Joe, the apparel, but also this you do a lot of other work and really just talking to individuals and families. Is it the same now, or do our military guys and gals do they have access to anything else? I know that like the VA is supporting like psilocybin, or we're seeing a lot more push toward ibogaine, but that's probably not the government pushing them. But
Yeah.
do you see that they have access or knowledge, or at least different information than you, or is it still similar? Do you think?
I would say the culture is very similar of just grind it out, pull up your bootstraps, put your head down and go back to business. I think that culture it's going to be a hard culture to break, right? That's just part of the military and the upbringing in the military. But what I can say through other veterans and other different foundations and everybody speaking up is a lot of active duty and a lot of current, veterans are looking into the plant medicine space. And Carrie and I see that firsthand. When we started Mental Joe, again, 3.5, 4 years ago, we'd go to farmers markets, right? And we'd have little mushroom T-shirts and stuff, and people would walk up and they'd be like, "You guys do what?" We're like, "Yeah, we're advocates for psychedelics." And they're like, "All right, weirdos, bye." Like no one wanted to talk to us. Like we're literally chasing down people to try to, hey, come talk to us. We'll tell you all this good stuff. To where now we just went to a farmers market slash veteran event this past weekend, and I'm gonna say 9.5 out of 10 people that came to us, they all knew about psychedelic therapies. They've all started microdosing. Some of them are doing ketamine. Some of them are getting ready to set for ayahuasca. Some are, getting ready to go to an ibogaine. So out of that, like the conversations in 3 years have drastically changed. And that's even active duty folks and even federal employees. I'm getting a lot of federal employees. I'm getting a lot of SWAT guys from Phoenix SWAT and cops that are coming up to us and saying, hey man, like, we're hearing about this, like what do we do? And again, because it's legal and it doesn't get tested and they know it, I try to tell people ketamine's a great way to get into this space, because once you get into it, then it opens up your idea of, oh shit, this stuff works, but I want to go deeper. Now where do I go? Right? So then you get more people that get engaged and stuff, but the conversations have drastically changed in 3 years. I'm sure you've seen the same thing.
Yeah, I talked to some veterans, but not as many as you. So I'm literally curious, asking if the just that mentality has changed. And after the military, I did law enforcement. You know, law enforcement and first responders, and I mean, search and rescue and
Yep.
firefighters we saw a lot. And I've been away from that since 2017, so I still don't have like firsthand knowledge of if they're even asking questions. But no, I'm
Right.
literally asking because I'm curious if I'm just not as close. I don't talk to enough. I just talk to the ones that already know. I don't talk to the
Yeah.
ones just normal Joes. You know.
It's no, it's totally fair. Yeah, and I would say 100%. The conversations are changing. People are tired. I won't use names, but I coach on my son's baseball team, and one of the coaches I'm with, he was former law enforcement, and him and I just started, talking. He's like, dude, I don't know anything about you. Give me the high level view. So I told him what I do, and he's like, holy shit. He's like, that's what you do? I go, yeah. He goes, I wish I could do psychedelics. And I'm like, well, why can't you? He goes, well, I'm a federal employee, and so same thing, the education, that's where that comes in, right? So I send them to certain documentaries, I send them certain articles, I send them certain podcasts. I tell them, hey, try to find out what you're tested for at the federal level. I don't think ketamine is, and ketamine's legal, so hey, that's an easy way into this doorstep. So it is. People are tired of popping pills. People are tired of the same mundane go to talk therapy. It's going to work. And again, those are some good tools to have. But if we're going to rewire our brains and really think of a different process and get over those humps, psychedelics to me is for everybody, right? Again, right set, right setting, right space holder. It's got to be done the right way. But I think psychedelics is for everybody. I don't. I think the other thing that we run into, Melanie, as well, is you'll hear people. Well, I wasn't a combat veteran. I wasn't a first responder. I wasn't in the military. I don't have any of this. I'm good to go. And then you start digging. You talk to them. They're like, well, I was sexually molested when I was little. My husband beats me. I'm like, hello, that's all sorts of trauma. Like, I want to remove the stigma from this stuff that you have to have these massive labels of I'm a first responder or I'm a veteran to even do these things. To me, these molecules, these plant medicines are here to level us up as human beings, right? Like these are something like as we are of older age, right? Like I take TRT, I do, testosterone replacement. I look at these things as part of a way to optimize our humanhoodness to grow and expand our minds and be better people all the way around. So we try to educate of like, hey man, like there's all sorts of traumas. We all have shit that we're holding on to, and just think if you could let that go and be more present, like why wouldn't you want to do these things? So all the way around, again, from the military to the first responders to your average Joes, these conversations are changing and they're changing drastically.
Yeah, I smiled earlier because you said level up, and I think one of your T-shirts is a Mario with some Amanita muscaria, and it says level up on it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Then I think it was in Waves and War that one of the newest documentaries out about ibogaine. They were saying that these guys, even though they had these, their SEALs, lots of military trauma, but most of what came up was their childhood, their dads that
100.
beat them, their big T trauma, the beatings, little T trauma, what they didn't get that they should have had.
Yeah.
So yeah, most humans, I think all humans, because we were born, we were literally born, and that's traumatizing. Like,
Correct.
I mean, we don't even know what our childhood held, but it's there. It's in our body. Some had it worse than others, but everybody has some sort of healing to do, and a lot of it goes back to the childhood.
I love that you say that because I think that's what people forget too, right? And I'm glad that they talked about that portion in Waves to War, right? Because that's the thing. Most people I've talked to that have held space or are working with veterans or holding retreats, almost all of them that I talk to, that's what they say. Like, hey, they didn't talk about their buddy getting blown up. They didn't talk about getting shot. They didn't talk about this during their journey. It literally was childhood stuff, relationship stuff, things how they've treated people. It had nothing to do with the military trauma. It literally went back to who they were as a core person when they were little. So I love that they displayed it that way in Waves of War because I think that needs to be talked about. Like, yeah, I that was part of those gentlemen there. DJ Shipley, one of them. I listened to his podcast on the Sean Ryan show, and just knowing what he went through from a child of his dad being in the SEAL teams, right, and then him being part of DevGru, which is SEAL Team 6, and some of the elite of the elite of the elite, and then listening to his stories. For me, it was like, okay, I don't have half the basket of that this guy has, but if he's willing to dive into his stuff and go to Ibogaine and do some things to really sort out his issues, then I need to look in the mirror and I need to do the exact same thing. Because if this stuff helps him and he's talking about it, then by God, I need to do the same thing. So by having those veterans that some of us probably look up to because they've gone to the tip of the spear per se, I look at that and I say, okay, it's time to do that for us average Joes that really look up to these individuals of how do we clean our front porch up so we can be a light for somebody else.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, no matter what someone's done in their life, uh, we're all just little children in these adult bodies trying to adult. We all want to be seen. We all want to be loved. We want to be
Yeah,
accepted. We want to be part of the community. We all have healing to do. And yes, some people have been the tip of the spear, but that doesn't mean that just a mom, raising her three kids doesn't need the healing as well. And it didn't suffer just as much in her childhood. So yeah,
correct.
it truly is. It's available to everyone, whether it is for everyone. it is available to everyone,
Yeah, yeah,
whatever level.
agreed.
Well, let's talk about Mental Joe Apparel because I have a few of your shirts. Well, two of your shirts. This one.
Yes, you do, and I love the support so much. Thank you.
Yeah, and then the MDMA one, it looks like ACDC, but it's an MDMA. I get so many comments on that one. It's one of my faves. These two are my faves. But yeah, what is Mental Joe? I know there's a lot of shirts that are funny and they're a lot about psychedelics, but you do design collective stuff. So just tell us a little bit about Mental Joe.
Yeah, so kind of like I said earlier, Mental Joe, I was in corporate real estate, and again, just through some journeys, had again, big TV screen in front of me, like a movie thing, right? Go create apparel, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing with apparel? Um, and as it started to come a little bit cleaner, we started a website, and then next thing you know, I'm smoking some cannabis, going in the backyard and jotting ideas down and sketching things out. And then I'm finding a graphic designer who can bring these to life for me and vector file these things so we can print them on shirts and the whole 9 yards. But really, Mental Joe for us was we wanted to be a brand that brought awareness to this community and build community through apparel, right? Everybody wears a t-shirt, hat, hoodie, something somewhere throughout the day to support, an ecosystem or people or an environment that they support, right? Plain and simple. And for me, it was, I really love the psychedelic community, but what didn't resonate with me being the average Joe kid from Montana, right, was the big, bold, Grateful Dead, psychedelic t-shirt, and again, love all my people. I always preface this. I love them, do your thing. But, the nose ring and the purple hair and all that, it scared me off. It really did. And I was like, what is going on with this? And so we wanted to create something that could talk to that average Joe or maybe someone that, resonates with the psychedelic and plant community, but with little hitting mittings like this one, the more you know. We all know this, the more you know, from our childhoods coming up across the TV screens. And so now we put a little mushroom there, or the Bufo shirt that you're wearing, or like you mentioned, the MD.
Moving.
Yeah, the
That's
Venturi.
this one is really, I love it because it's very smart. It's very clever. I
Thank
love
you.
it.
Thank
Yes.
you. And so, in the ACDC MDMA shirt. So we try to just put a fun little spin on it, that where people will wear the shirt, but it's not the bright, crazy, psychedelic, hey, I'm over here. It's more of a subtle message to get you to kind of look at the shirt and go, well, that's a cool design, but what does that mean if you're on the outside? And then before you know it, it creates a conversation of what is that? Well, here it is. And they get a little backstory of Chad McLean and Carrie, and this is what we're doing. And before you know it, they're like, yeah, man, like, I'm really curious too. I've been on, SSRIs for years and mood stabilizers, and I drink way too much. And now they're, trauma dumping on you. And before you know it, you've got them sitting at a ketamine clinic, a week down the road, or they're signing up for a retreat in Mexico or Colorado or Oregon, right? So really we become a brand in this space that just helps people. Like when we see a Mental Joe shirt, I call it seeing a Mental Joe shirt out in the wild. I just get tickled to death because it's like, okay, cool. Like I designed this shirt, someone, exchanged money and they thought it was cool enough to wear it for us and support us. And so the big goal with Mental Joe is to be kind of that military brand, but it's also for the average Joes. It's fun. And the whole goal is we want to be profit for a purpose. As we grow, as we become profitable, we want to be that stopgap for a lot of people. Because as you know, right, not everyone's got a couple grand sitting around to go to a psilocybin retreat or go to an ayahuasca retreat. And so as we build our community on Mental Joe and the retreats and the ketamine clinics that we partner with, we want to be able to say, Heroic Hearts, for example, right? Hey, Jesse, we heard you've got 20 dudes that are sitting on the sidelines ready to go through healing, but you guys don't have the funding or they don't have the ability. Hey, as long as they can throw $500 towards their plane ticket, we'll take care of this. Here's $200,000 check, and let the apparel be the awareness brand that raises that, but also use capital as a means to get people more healing. So that's kind of the big goal behind Mental Joe. Again, it's just Carrie and I. We're a small little mom and pop right now, and we're growing. And it's been frustrating at times, but it's the conversations that we get. It's the people that reach out. It's the people that understand what we're trying to accomplish that's helping us, continue to push forward. Because there's been plenty of times I wanted to quit this thing because it's been a rough journey being a lone wolf on this, trying to create apparel and bring awareness to this. Again, too stigmatized thing that no one wants to talk about.
Yeah, your website, you can buy shirts on the website, but there's also information. Like you have some, I don't know if you call them sponsors or people that you have their links where they can go. Heroic Hearts is on there. I think Mission Within is on there. There's a lot of cases that you've vetted that are available. And there's information. And yeah, you've done it really nice. The website is, yes, they sell shirts, but here's information. If you need help now, read this.
Yeah, thank you. And we try to, again, we try to keep vetting and bringing more people on. Because same thing, right? When I was the average Joe that knew nothing about this stuff at all, I didn't know who to go to. I didn't know who to trust. Hence I use 6 ketamine clinics to find the 2 ketamine clinics I refer people to now, right? And there's a reason I refer people to those 2 clinics. And same, all the people that we have vetted on our website, right? Like, I want to give people the information for them, so if they say, hey, like, I really like this website and I really like the messaging here, I'm going to reach out to these people and see what it takes for me to go through a psilocybin retreat with these folks. Again, like you mentioned, we've got podcasts on there, we've got articles, we've got other things, because saying people don't know where to go for this stuff. So it's like, if you're going to buy a shirt, I want to try to educate you guys as much as I know as possible and just continue to hold that space so people can go get some education about this stuff.
Yeah, that is the frustrating part because I mean, there's a lot of people that they have the information and the algorithms are feeding them information, but some of the people that need help the most, it's not in their algorithm. So how
Correct.
do we reach them? That's the hard part.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that. I mean, that's our biggest thing. We always say if we can get more eyeballs on objective, then we're sitting in a different area. But it's always, again, you're fighting algorithms, right? We've been, I guess you'd say, kicked in the teeth by the Meta algorithms and the Google algorithms, because we do say psychedelics, and we actually won some advertising from Google because we're saying, hey, we're not selling drugs. We're actually advocating for these therapies. And I sent Google a bunch of different articles and a bunch of different research, and like, oh, okay, we need to have an internal talk with our team about this because we didn't realize this was like a thing out there. So like we won, like we're able to advertise without these little hits on our Google feed now, but it's a constant battle to try to navigate these algorithms and get up to the top.
Platforms like Senavida and this podcast, and me personally, I'm always trying to send people to you. I mean, that's really the word of mouth, because trust, I think, is there's more trust when it is word of mouth and referrals, and so we're trying to build community with Senavida and this podcast. So I want to send people to you. So besides the shirts, let's say there's a company that needs a bunch of shirts. Like Senavida, we need shirts. Like, what do we do?
Yep.
What do you do? What can you do for us?
Yeah, so right, we've done shirts before, so a lot of people will just reach out to us, and we're still trying to figure it out, but we figured we have this collection on our website that's the United Healing Collection for All. And so what we've done is we've had foundations that'll reach out to us and say, hey man, I don't want to get in the apparel space, but we have our network, we have our clientele that supports us. We'd really like to have a cool shirt out there that we could sell to people. So Siren Project, I'll give them a shout out. Tim and his wife, we just did hats and t-shirts for them. So what we'll do is we'll create a t-shirt. We'll agree on a design that represents their brand, and if they need help with graphic design, I've got people to help with that. And then what we do is we put a launch out there. So we'll hold space for that foundation or that group of folks, and we'll hold the space on our website underneath that collection and launch their t-shirt, and have a little paragraph underneath the t-shirt that talks about that foundation and what they're about. And then it's just up to that foundation. They can collaborate with us, but it's up to that foundation to market to their network, whether it's email or whatever. And then people come to our website and they buy the shirt, right? So then they'll buy the shirt, and then what we do on a quarterly basis is we'll pull a report, right? So then we pull that report. We say, hey, we sold X amount of shirts because we agreed to, this is what we're going to pay you out on a hat. This is what we're going to pay you out on a t-shirt. We write them a check. We send it to them, and boom. Now they have apparel out there that's going to be on a bunch of different people, that other people are going to ask that individual, hey, what's that t-shirt about? What is this? How do we get in contact? How do I get some help? And then at the same time, it gives that foundation or that group some money to get somebody maybe through a retreat that they didn't have before. And so as we're building these relationships, we're going to get to a point where we can kind of do either one or two, if not a quarterly launch for some of these foundations and just hold that space. Because for me, if you're a foundation that's holding that space for healing, like, do that. Be the expert. Be really, really good in that. Let me be the weird loudmouth apparel guy for you. We'll do all the fulfilling. We'll do all the production. We'll get it to your people. You don't have to worry about holding a different store that you've got to pay for now. Now you've got to go find a supplier. Then you got to fulfill the orders yourself. Then you got to go find a manufacturer. Hey, I've already done all that. Let me do that for you. I'll hold the space for you. Let's sell some shirts. Let's get you some money. Let's get shirts on your network, and then let's double that. Quarterly, yearly, whatever that looks like, and put new designs out there to get people over. I always call it the fence. Get people that are sitting on the fence line. Get them over here so we can help them heal. So that's one way that we're really helping foundations with Mental Joe Apparel.
So if I had an idea for a t-shirt and I sent you the idea, would you just make it one of your own, or would it be like, oh, I can send whatever proceeds are mine can go to Mission Within or something like that? Would you do something like that?
Yeah, that's exactly how it works. Like, I mean, you reach out and say, hey, Chad, we want to do a Mission Within t-shirt, right? And this is the design we'd like to do. How can we, collaborate on that? And then we'll work through that. And again, it comes down to you guys approving that design. And once that design's approved, then we'll create the mock-up for you. We'll kick it back, say, hey, here's the mock-up. You approve the mock-up. It goes on the website. You kick it out to your folks, and it's a done deal. And then that t-shirt stays in our United Collection area until you guys launch another shirt or another design down the road. So that way, if someone misses it, they can always come back on and say, oh, that shirt's there, I need to buy it, until we kick out a different design. So it's an ongoing process that we're trying to clean up and tighten. And it's taken us 3 years to figure it out, and I still haven't fully figured it out, but we're pretty close to getting it.
I'm sure it will evolve. I had an idea for a shirt, and you can use it if you want, is the frying pan with the egg in it. And then it says, who doesn't fry their eggs?
Yes. Yeah, we have a bunch of those. Like, I've literally got an entire board like this of ideas that I have. I've probably got over 50 different designs that are setting there. But same thing, right? I kind of looked at it as like, we're not really big yet, right? Like, in the community, people know who Mental Joe is, but it's like, we have, like, the Bufo shirt you have on. Like, that was one of our very first shirts to
Did
someone
you
that...
design this one?
I did, yeah.
Did you come up with this? Like, this is so clever. And the MDMA one is so clever. Like, some of the shirts I love, but I'm like, oh, that's cute, but I wouldn't wear it necessarily. It's just,
right.
It resonates with other people. Like, my buddy bought your paratrooper,
the mushroom one,
the scary one, because he was a Army paratrooper guy and he loved it. Didn't necessarily wear that, but man, the clever ones, maybe you just have to try some on, and if they don't sell, then they go away or whatever. But like, until you post it or put it out there, how are you gonna know that, like, this is the one that sells?
Yeah, and that's it. It's funny that you say it, because it's just that. It's literally like each design speaks to a different crowd of people. And like, so we took different designs to this military kind of farmers market that we did on Saturday, and the shirts that sold there versus a conference that we went to 3 weeks ago is two different things, right? But that's why we have some shirts that just say gratitude on it, right? Because some people don't want to wear the mushroom shirt. They still want to support the mission, but they're not quite fully bought in on the plant medicine stuff. So let me just wear the gratitude shirt because I can support you that way. Or like you said, you love the Bufo shirt. That speaks to a lot of people that do Bufo. That's one of their favorite designs and favorite shirts. Like you said, the mushroom paratrooper. The design on how that came was one of my very first psilocybin experience. Was I had a white pill bottle that came in and would dump out and then would filter back out. And I'm like, what is this white pill bottle thing about? Well, mushrooms, I guess you would say, kind of saved me, because that took me off of all my medication. But the night jump is where I burnt in and destroyed my back. So that design is kind of like, for me, it's a twofold. It's like where I met the fork in the road to go down this wrong highway, but then by taking mushrooms, I was able to have a softer landing and get off of SSRIs and all the bullshit. So it's like each design I try to, play a little bit different, or a hidden message or a meaning behind it. Kind of like the psychedelic buffalo. If people understand the buffalo is the only animal that runs straight into the storm, to get through the storm the fastest, right? And so same thing with psychedelics. You don't know what you're getting, but you're going into that psychedelic storm to say, screw it, I don't know what's there, but I'm willing to go into the storm to go face my traumas, go face my bullshit, and get on the other side of this. So that's kind of like our psychedelic buffalo into the storm. So again, try to have a play on each one of these t-shirts at times, so that way there's some again, a little hidden message behind the design itself, and it's not just, oh, let's just throw something on a t-shirt.
Yeah, yeah, they're really fun. So everyone should go to the website, check it out, and of course, buy one. So we have just a few minutes left. Is there anything that I haven't asked that you want to share, whether it's about the story or about Mental Joe or healing in general? We've talked a lot about psychedelics. Are there other healing modalities that you use? I've seen you out hiking in Sedona with some men. What, anything else you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, Sam, I'm always gonna hold reverence for psychedelics, right? Because that's what's got me to where I am, and so I speak loud and proud about that stuff. To the point you said some hikes, and I call them hiker dosing, right? So I'll take some guys, we'll go out and do some hiker dosing. Guys that have never touched this stuff before, and at the end of the hike, they're like, "Holy shit, dude! Like there is something to this." I'm like, "Yeah, man." And before you know it, now they're looking for a retreat. Now they're looking to dive down that rabbit hole a little bit deeper. I'm actually a practitioner as well of a modality called TRE, and that's also on our Lifelines tab on our website, so people can understand what that is. But if you're familiar, TRE stands for Tension Trauma Release Exercises, and we carry a lot of stress and trauma in our psoas muscle. And our psoas muscle is one of our biggest muscle groups in our body that connects directly to our spine, wraps around our hips, and connects right into the spine. Well, it's a modality that you work through a succession of exercises from the feet all the way up through the hips. And then once you've done those exercises, you lay on the ground in the butterfly position and then slowly start kind of bringing those knees together until you find a tension point. And then when that tension point happens, that's when the body really starts to kind of shake and release the tension, the trauma that we've always carried. I always say we're dumb humans, right? We have a Red Bull. We go about our day. We don't ever address that trauma. So we carry it, we store it, we hold on to it, and then that's where we get sick. So I love TRE. I'm a huge advocate for it. It's being taught at New York firehouses right now. I would love to like actually be a guy that goes out and teaches TRE before people go do retreats or medicine work, because it's such a cool modality to completely open the body. Like I love breath work, I love yoga, I love meditation. I dig all of it. But TRE to me it's a mix of yoga and meditation, and a way to open up and crack the body open completely. So when you go set with medicine, like you're kind of ready because you already went through this really weird thing where your body shakes off. And hey, maybe this will be an easier medicine journey because now you're open now and you're not holding on so tight. So I do love other modalities as well, but man, if you compare those with some kind of plant medicine, I think it escalates everything that much more.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned TRE. I love it's one of my favorite as well to work with people with because it's the whole body keeps the score thing, right? We have all this
Yep.
trauma in our body. In TRE, when you're shaking, we don't necessarily know what's coming out. But when I've done
Yeah.
it, I've had memories come up. I'm like, oh,
Yep.
there went that right out of the body. Yeah, it's an amazing modality. And I think originally, wasn't it created for law enforcement or something like that? Or am I
So the gentleman, yeah, the gentleman that created it was Dr. David Berceli. He actually used to live here. He's in Singapore now, and I talk to David probably once a quarter. Um, but he kind of created it just a trauma mechanism to release it. And what he found out is he traveled to a bunch of war torn countries, and he would study the individuals and watch them. Like when bombs would go off, he would see people crunch into that fetal position. Well, what are you doing? You're activating that psoas muscle because you're shrinking down. And so as he saw that, he started realizing like, okay, how does this correlate within the body? And so same thing, you read the book, The Body Keeps the Score, you read the books of TRE and what Berceli wrote there. And I would say TRE is in that weird wheelhouse where yoga first started out, right? Everyone's like, yoga, breath work, like what are you talking about? Very new, very rare. But now you go to any studio and you've got breath work or you've got yoga going on. So TRE I feel is like in its very early stages of people really understanding what that modality can bring and help people with.
Yeah, so glad you brought that one up. Love it. Right. Well, I'm I'm so grateful for this time with you and getting to know you. I mean, we've texted a lot and emailed a lot.
Yeah.
We even talked on the phone, but I hadn't really engaged face to face. So I'm super grateful. My sister lives in Phoenix, so I'm gonna say hi next time I'm.
Well, come on out. We'll go do a hiker dose or something.
Yes, sounds amazing. Thank you, Chad, so much for your service, for serving the people, serving the medicine, serving your medicine of your t-shirts and spreading the word about this healing. Thank you for being on this path. And I'm going to help as much as I can. I'm going to wear the shirts and send as many people to you as I can. But yeah, I know it's a kick in the teeth sometimes, but you're doing amazing work. So thank you for that.
It is, and I appreciate that. It's the feedback like this that really kind of keeps us pushing along, and people being excited about what we're trying to do too. So I appreciate it because it's those little shoves and nudges that I need to keep moving forward. So I appreciate that so much.
Yeah. Thanks, Chad. You have yourself a beautiful evening.
Thanks, you too. Have a great one.